participation in storming a church in Minnesota on January 18, 2026. When I say he was arrested as of today, I mean, like, as I'm reporting this to you, he's been arrested, but the arrest happened on Thursday. So it's Friday right now. Never mind, leave me alone. No one is above the law, Don Lemon. No one.
Nobody is above the law.
Now, to catch you up if you didn't hear about this, anti-ICE protesters went into the city's church in St. Paul, Minnesota during a Sunday service on, like I said, January 18, 2026. They disrupted the service by chanting anti-ICE slogans, calling for justice for Renee Good. They confronted attendees and the pastor, and the protesters targeted the church because they believed that one of the pastors was connected to the St. Paul ICE field office in one way or another.
So I don't think they know what to do. I'm sure they probably call the local authorities right now, and they'll show up in a bit, but so far no one has been hurt. People are just really angry and upset. And members of the church are trying to get them to calm down. But this is the beginning of what's going to happen here.
Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good!
All of this is obviously very, very well-adjusted behavior. Really, it is a wonder that progressives don't have more support. Now, Don Lemon, who used to work at CNN, he was an anchor over there, but has since become independent and reports on YouTube and whatnot. He's basically a me at this point. He acted as if he was part of these church protests in a journalistic capacity. Were you though, Donnie? Were you? I remain unconvinced. Prior to all of this, Lemon talked to the camera and said that the people involved were resistance protesters. That was the language that he used. He said that they were there to surprise people, to catch them off guard, and to hold them to account. For what? We don't know.
Diverse community, if you see this when we first pulled up, we're like, wait a minute, which operation are we at? And as it turns out, because we were like, whoa, this is kind of MAGA coded, right? So the American flag or whatever, but these are resistance protesters. They're planning an operation that we're going to follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up, and it's Kima Armstrong, and she has been doing this since George Floyd, Dante Wright, and others, where they surprise people, catch them off guard, and hold them to account.
It should also be noted that during this little pre-church raid chat, Lemony Snicket utilizes the word "we," which indicates, at least to me, that he is associating himself with the group and its goals, which, if you're Lemony's lawyer, is a really unfortunate event. I am really bringing you all those highbrow literary jokes today. Literary, that is a challenging word to say. Words are hard for me tonight. So, following along with these people, Lemon Boy ended up at the center of this church protest, sticking his little microphone in the face of the pastor of this church, and honestly being incredibly rude to him.
What do you think of this?
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
But there were folks who
I have to take care of my flock.
Okay, but listen, we live there's a Constitution and the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here.
Okay. Lemon also questioned the church members, and the video that I'm about to show you of that honestly made me really sad. He narrated the scene as it unfolded and filmed everything for all of us to see.
I'm a Christian here that wants to praise the Lord with my son, and now I gotta go home. I'm sorry that you guys are so angry.
I'm just chronicling. I'm not with the group.
What do I have to say?
Can you understand why they're angry?
I don't understand any of this because I'm a simple man. I'm a simple man who loves the Lord and is a good father. This is what we look forward to, is coming, being with our family and praising Jesus, and that's not something that we have to run away from. So this is kind of a bad day for us.
Do you understand that some of these folks feel voiceless?
I don't understand, because right now I'm so upset right now.
Don't you think until we go to heaven, or if you believe in that there should be some sort of peace here on earth, and that people should have agency, and we shouldn't be beating people up off the street, and we should be abiding by the Constitution?
I think that's just a little bit loaded for me right now. What you're doing?
Why so?
Well, I don't want to interview right now.
There's probably nothing worse on this planet than feeling distressed and having Don Lemon ask you racially charged questions. What do the people in the church have to do with any of this?
You know, my psycho hair and I were just sitting here editing this video, and I couldn't help but think, I bet these church people would have wanted to be invisible to Don Lemon the same way that all of us want to be invisible to our Mr. FBI man on the internet, which is why today's video is sponsored by Surfshark, and I worked really hard on this one, and it's weird, and you better watch it.
You know, I can hear you breathing.
No, you can't.
Well, I definitely hear you talking, so where are you and what are you doing?
I miss looking at your browsing history.
Well, that is creepy.
You always have such funny Google searches. It's my only entertainment.
I am certain, actually, that there are plenty of other citizens that you can stalk, Mr. FBI man.
It's just not the same. Since you got Surfshark VPN, I'm always in the dark.
Well, as a matter of fact, I kind of enjoy you being in the dark.
Well, I don't. This virtual private network locks me out of everything. I can't even put a virus on your computer to spy on you anymore. And you get to access geo-blocked websites and content, and you can access servers in different countries that let you browse for cheaper airfares and other country streaming services.
None of these are downsides.
They are to me.
You forgot that I can have secure emails, that I can connect to Wi-Fi outside of my home without you snooping on me. Surfshark is also incredibly cool because I can use it on as many devices as I like from the one subscription. It has 24/7 support, and I can even get things like Surfshark Alert, which alerts me when any potential data breaches take place that I might be caught up in. Oh, and also ad-free browsing.
Is this what you want? You want me to go? Well, I'll go.
But I'll never stop loving you. So if you two are finally ready to vanquish your FBI man, then click the link in the description or go to surfshark.com/Sydney. And don't forget to use code Sydney at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Do it today. Say no, 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 Mr. FBI man. Why am I weird? Some people said that Donny Boy here was engaging in the confrontations, while others, including Lemon himself, have said that he was there solely in a journalistic capacity and not as a participant. Now, obviously, and not surprisingly, this entire event drew a ton of criticism because going into a church, or really, I guess, any place of worship, is a giant no-no to a lot of people. Even as a non-believer myself, I have found all of this to be super disrespectful and very much not okay. And I don't want to get into why all of that is. I think it's pretty self-evident, but I guess the acceleration of anti-Christian rhetoric here in the United States, it's actually really starting to annoy even me. And that's a big deal because for a really long time, I was very indifferent to most of this. Now I'm just like, hey, let's not do this anymore, okay? Leave the Christians alone. They are one of the nicer groups who are not trying to stone you to death. So in response, the Civil Rights Division of the DOJ announced an investigation into this event. And then nothing happened. And honestly, guys, I really didn't think that anything would. It was like this event transpired, Don Lemon participated, there was a lot of noise about it, and then I thought there would just be a whole lot of nothing. And this is probably due to the fact that I am used to being sad and disappointed. I am unfortunately used to the crazies winning and then running the asylum. But then, to my shock and awe and surprise, they actually went ahead and nabbed Don Lemon. They got him. I color me shocked. Mr. Lemonade was arrested by federal agents in LA while he was covering the Grammy Awards. He was arrested along with 4 other people, although in the indictment there's more than 4 other people listed, so there is that. According to the indictment, Lemon Drop has been charged with 2 felonies, count 1 being conspiracy against the right of religious freedom at a place of worship, and count 2 relates to the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act, also known as FACE, which prohibits interference with religious worship, among other things. The wording for this second count relates to injuring, intimidating, and interfering with the exercise of right of religious freedom at a place of worship. Lemon's attorney, whose name I'm actually not super sure how to pronounce because it's spelled A-B-B-E, which I think is Abby, must be Abby Lowell anyway is her name. She said that this is a free speech issue because Don Lemon was simply acting as a journalist in this capacity. I mean, he kept telling us that he was just there to chronicle, so what else would he have been doing?
I'm just chronicling. I'm not with the group.
Again, as with anything like this, a lot of people out there have a lot of opinions, and so far there has already been a ton of misinformation and confusion and wonky reporting on all of this, and also responses from all the regular players about how this is an infringement on civil liberties. CNN released its own statement saying that the FBI's arrest of their former colleague raises profoundly concerning questions about press freedom and the First Amendment. The Department of Justice has already failed twice to get an arrest warrant for Don and several other journalists in Minnesota, where a chief judge of the Minnesota Federal District Court found that there was no evidence that there was any criminal behavior involved in this event and this work. It's so weird. The statement is short, but it's so annoying to read. It goes on to say that the First Amendment in the United States protects journalists who bear witness to news and events as they unfold, ensuring that they can report freely in the public interest, and the DOJ's attempts to violate those rights are unacceptable, and they will be following the case closely. I will come back to the judge thing and explain that in just a little bit, but it is worth noting, and this really does matter, that Don Lemon was indicted by a grand jury in Minnesota. That is what helped bring these charges in and allow them to arrest him. A grand jury in Minnesota, not Texas, not Florida, Minnesota. And this is important again because of the sort of weird political leanings that are going on in Minnesota. What are you guys doing? Like, what is everyone just a little bit like wonky up there right now? Like, do you guys need some oxygen? Are you too high up? Anyway, then we had Chuck Schumer saying that this arrest is a dark message to journalists everywhere, suggesting that criticizing the administration means you have to watch your back.
The administration is behaving no differently from police states and authoritarian regimes across history. They've arrested a journalist for the crime of doing his job. And let's be very clear, this arrest is not just about one journalist in one incident. The arrest is a dark message to journalists everywhere. If you dare criticize this administration, watch your back.
I really do find these responses ironic and honestly sort of funny in like a depressing way, because I have been on YouTube for quite a long time. I have been participating in the independent media space for quite a long time, and I know that all of us here on this platform, and again, a lot of independent journalists, have been subjected to the years of genuine censorship, like mass amounts of censorship during, I guess, the latter years of the first Trump administration, but also the Biden administration. So when liberals and Democrats and whatnot talk about this, I know they don't care. I know they don't actually care about people being able to have their say, and I know they don't actually care about journalistic integrity. So it's always just a little bit of a when they do this stuff. It's obvious, but they really only do care because it concerns somebody who is ideologically aligned with them. But you know, that's just everything in 2026. Everything's partisan, all of the time. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, whose website, just by the way, looks like it was made by a teenager on crack, also released a statement regarding Lemon's arrest, calling it a disgraceful affront to the First Amendment, as if you guys care about that, and a corrupt weaponization of the criminal justice system. Jeffries frames the arrest as the Trump admin trying to silence journalists who are working to expose the brutality of ICE agents. All of these people are so annoying. On the other hand, one of the reported worshippers who was there in the church that day said that Don Lemon was absolutely part of the protest and he shouldn't have been there at all.
There is the clip of him talking about looking at the young people who are exiting the sanctuary and saying how they're traumatized, they're disturbed, and that's what's necessary in a protest like this. And I think that's just disgusting. I think that we as Christians are never promised peace or comfortability in this life. We know that people will be against us, but that does not mean that we shouldn't call people out.
The church itself and its pastor, or head pastor I guess, weighed in as well as of hearing about this arrest, presumably, and they, or it said, that they are grateful that the Department of Justice acted swiftly to protect City's church so that they can continue to faithfully live out the church's mission to worship Jesus and make him known. And because I really do think it matters, I just want to quickly roll us back around to CNN's initial comments about the magistrate judge in this case. The DOJ essentially asked a higher court, being the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, that's hard to say, for emergency help obtaining a warrant for Don Lemon and 4 other people's arrests. The DOJ wanted the appeals court to force a lower federal judge in Minnesota to issue those arrest warrants. This judge, who people are saying is an activist judge, had already said no, claiming that there wasn't enough evidence of a crime to justify arresting them right away. I put a letter on screen from this judge so that you can pause to read it if you want to see what this guy has to say, and then you can weigh for yourselves if you think he's a leftist activist or not. However, when the appeals court, who just by the way is made up of 3 judges in this specific case, said that they were not going to step in here, one of those judges involved in this decision wrote a separate note agreeing that the emergency request should be denied, but he added that he personally thought that the government's paperwork showed enough probable cause to support all 5 warrants. The appeals court made it clear that while they were not going to override the decision of the lower court and the lower court judge, the DOJ did have other avenues available to them to obtain the arrest that they wanted. Hence the grand jury being utilized here and all the things that we're talking about now. Look, we've come full circle. So good. Now, I actually really haven't had enough time to think about this and to download it and to tell you whether or not I think this is actually a free speech issue or not. And while I so obviously think that it is completely unacceptable to harass and attack people in their place of worship, it really does boil down to the question of whether Don Lemon specifically was in this church and participating like this in a journalistic capacity or not. As an aside, and I do actually think this is important, before the church event took place, there is a clip circulating where Don Lemon said that he's turned his camera away from the protesters because they were sharing critical information about their plans, and presumably he didn't want to have that on live stream or on video or whatever. And to me, that doesn't exactly scream trustworthy journalism. Like, not to mention the way he talks about everything is like he's directly involved in it, and obviously like he agrees with it.
Looks that for this reason, it may look like MAGA coded, but there's a reason they have so many white people here. I'm just going to be honest. It's because of the operation that they're doing today. It's important to have allies, as they said, white allies here. So that is what I can say. I turned our camera off of them because they're giving some critical information here.
I would like to know why you are protecting these people, because if you are there as a reporter, wouldn't you want to report as much information as you can? Not shield people from potential information that might be useful to them as viewers and as audiences. Donnie boy? Anyway, for all the people who have been moaning and groaning about how this is some sort of attack on journalistic liberties, I think it's worth noting that situations like this have absolutely played out in the past, but towards people and journalists on the right wing. And the same people who are currently crying about Don Lemon so clearly had absolutely nothing to say about cases concerning people on the right wing. So, are you surprised? Once again, probably not. For example, a journalist employed by a right-wing outlet called The Blaze, whose name, the journalist, is Steve Baker, was covering the January 6th event while it happened at the Capitol. He was inside the Capitol filming the people who were in there as well and reporting on the events as they unfolded. Now, naturally, Baker was exposing the event in a way that Democrats didn't like and the Biden administration didn't like, and he was ordered by the FBI to appear at a Dallas
Gentlemen, we're gonna try this shit out. Heard a lot of questionable opinions about it. We're gonna
You'll
find
need a
out.
top-notch team to win this one.
Be wary. No timeline exists where Magneto yields.
my name is Shoonhead, and welcome to my new series, The Hellworld Report. Some of you may remember my old series that was
I will
called
never
Hellworld.
allow
If you
Krakoa
do,
to suffer
you
the
can
same
qualify
fate
for a
as
veterans
Kenosha.
discount. Congratulations! And if you remember the Gamergate days, well,
30 seconds
please
before
come
you
collect
attack.
your retirement.
Get ready.
But yeah, if you have not seen my old series, go check it out. I will put the link to the playlist down below. I think it's a really interesting time capsule into the years 2020 and 2021, like how crazy it was back then, and then in retrospect comparing it to how crazy it is now. But this is a shorter, more condensed version of that series. Think of it as a Team
Battle
Jon
starts in
Stewart
5,
or Stephen Colbert
4,
before they
3,
morphed into the same
2,
flavor of shit.
1.
You see, I'm better than those late night
You have to
Look
stop
at my
them from
movies.
securing the mission area.
I get them from far more reputable places like Instagram players, fanboy bullshit, and Twitter. From high ballroom to the Epstein files to OnlyFans green cards and kidnapping foreign leaders, from government-funded purple-haired girlfriends to a potential civil war, we have a very packed show. It's been a crazy year. It is only January. As I am filming this, we are currently having a huge
This morning,
have a shield,
snow,
but
ice,
no
and frigid
complaints.
temperatures swirling across the nation. 20 states under a state of emergency.
Ah yes, perfect weather to make some poor immigrant deliver me chicken candies. It's so cold that Michigan and Minnesota received reports about floating trees. Lefty said, no more ice, and God said, Anyway, in news that should have stayed in 2016, apparently there is a new term women have coined called man-keeping. Man-keeping is why women are dumb to skating. Researchers at Stanford have finally given a name to something many women have been dealing with for years. It's called man-keeping, and it's helping explain why so many women are stepping away from dating altogether. Man-keeping describes the emotional labor women end up doing in heterosexual relationships. It goes beyond remembering birthdays or coordinating social plans. It means being managing stress, interpreting his moods, holding his feelings he don't share with anyone else. All of it unpaid, unacknowledged, and often unreciprocated.
You
Please,
shall not be harmed.
therapists can keep it talking nowadays. Emotional labor, I mean being there for your partner. This is why so many people actually start dating action. People thought men were going to be the ones dating AI. They're going to be the ones with these robots. Women are the ones who want these daily affirmations. Yes, honey, I love when you talk about all the drama at work. Tell me more about that. Man-spreading, mansplaining, man-interrupting, man-keeping, man-skating. Speaking of manscaping, before we dive into the news, let's quickly give a shout-out to For the last few decades, razors haven't been designed to work better. They've been designed to more blades, more features, more limits, and skin irritation is just something you're going to deal with. A big cause for that irritation is blade flex. Most razors use springs so the blades move as you shave. That causes extra friction and razor burn, so people use aftershave, cold water, moisturizer, whatever. They fix the symptoms and
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
Does the blade actually move? How do we fix the actual problem? That's where Henson Shaving comes in. By fully supporting a two-sided blade, that are 30 degrees, they hold the blade in place to prevent any bouncing, skipping, just giving you an irritating shave. No springs, no movement, no reason to compensate pressure. Precision. With the Henson AL50 safety razors being manufactured in the same aerospace machine shop that built parts for the International Space Station. This level of precision allows the blade to extend just a thousandth of an inch beyond the blade, less than the thickness of a human hair. Since I switched to Henson like almost 2 years ago now, I've noticed my blades have been way silkier and smoother. No tugging, no cuts, just a close finish that feels great. And here's the best part. Once you invest in a Henson razor, it is the moon. The only thing you need to replace is the blade. You shall not be 10 cents.
Judge! Jury! Execution! Magneto!
Compared to the ongoing cost of buying plastic cartridges. Also, the Henson tool offers a bunch of different colors, so you can pick out the razor that best suits your vibe. So if you're tired of razor burn,
Only
skin
60 seconds
irritation,
left.
and paying for overpriced razor blades, Henson Shaving is definitely worth checking out. Just head over to hensonshaving.com/shoe and add both a Henson razor and 100 blades to your cart. Then enter the code SHOE at checkout to get the blades free with your purchase. Big thanks to Henson Shaving for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, as always.
Anyone willing to help?
You did it. Right. Now, let's get back to the video. Alright. Start with some good
30
news.
seconds.
The median age of home buyers is now 59.
We must persevere.
But that's not all. America's seniors will now see a new $6,000 bonus attempt for working families.
Away from that arm. Starts to hum.
And by working families tax cuts, they mean you, the working family, giving another $1 billion wealth transfer to the most tax class. Boomers, why are we giving these geriatrics another tax break? Maybe they should pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Maybe they should stop buying so much avocado toast. God forbid we help young families raise the next generation of Americans. No, that would be communism. Young people are poor as nowadays. What are they supposed to do?
Piper Rockfell, 18, claims she made $2.9 million in a single day after launching OnlyFans.
No more rights. No more women's rights. I am ready for the Islamic Revolution. Mayor Mandani, please press the Islamification button. I know the go-to joke is always, haha, women, am I right? But I think the real question here is, should men be allowed to have credit cards? This woman didn't magically create millions of dollars with her mind out of thin air. No, millions of men made this woman a millionaire overnight. Where's the accountability for that? I'm out here policing the whores. We need some men to be out there policing the simps. We have a simp epidemic. Simps are out of control. Not all of them, though. Mine are cool. They can stay. Also, isn't this like the third OnlyFans 18th birthday announcement? And the woman
No timeline exists where Magneto
Some a little
yields.
sus about that. But don't worry, thanks to AI, we are entering a new age of goonerism. Honestly, what's the...
Whoa. Hold up a second.
Alas, we can no
We gotta
longer
talk about
hide
Palantir.
from the dangers
Now,
that lie
I'm
beyond
gonna shock
our
you right now.
Before you attack.
The
Get
drop
ready.
that we've seen from Palantir over the past few days is the best thing that happened to the stock since probably 2024. And I'll explain why.
I
Now,
have
if you
known
panic
many
right
over
now,
the years
which is
who
totally
wish to
understandable, but
control
if you
me.
do, you're gonna miss out on a huge money-making opportunity. And I'm gonna
Quite
explain
the
why.
contrary.
By the end of
I
this
simply
video,
want to be the one
you'll
who
see
is
exactly
wielding
how the
the
top
sword.
10% of
starts in
investors
5, 4,
using moments like this
3,
to make
2,
generational
1.
wealth. And you also see
You have to stop
probably
them
why
from
90%
securing the
of
mission
investors
area.
lose money consistently in a market that only goes up. Now, the S&P 500 does 10% per year. That's the normal statistic for the S&P 500. We all know this out of our sleep. And yet we also know that 90% of investors keep losing money in the stock market. Well, that is because of psychology. It's not because of lack of intelligence. It's not because of lack of capital. That is because of two emotions: fear and greed. Okay? And usually these emotions, whether it's fear or greed, doesn't really matter. But most often, I'd say 95% of the time, these emotions get triggered at the worst possible time for you. Now, Palantir is down 16%. Palantir is down 9% for the past 5 days. Oh my goodness. Palantir has dropped from $171 to $150. Oh my goodness, run for the hills. This is where most people focus their attention. This is where the conversation and sentiment is right now. But if you zoom out a little bit, the picture becomes a little clearer. Over the past 12 months, the stock is up almost 100%. Over the past 3 years, it's up 2,400%. This drops happen, crashes happen. It's not a bad thing. In fact, it's an opportunity to make money. And every time this happens in the cards, whether it is Palantir or the overall market or other stocks, we in the Academy use this to make our money. And it's not our first rodeo. And it's not to do that. But before we go through that, I have to explain what's going on because a lot of you are concerned and rightfully so, you're asking the question. Tom, what's going on with the share price? Why has it dropped so much in such a short time frame? Now, I understand the question, but first of all, the caveat, right? Whenever you talk about short-term price volatility, there's a lot of randomness. Sometimes it just happens to come. Sometimes things that happen. In the short term, the market can stay really, really crazy for a long time. But I'm going to try to make some sense of what you've seen in the past few days.
I have found
maybe
a
even
greater
few weeks.
cause.
Okay, number one, the stock is up 2,400% over the past few years. So there is naturally a lot of profit taking, especially ahead of earnings, especially ahead of another uncertainty event. That's normal, right? Basically, the market has what I would call jitters right now. Trump isn't really helping the situation by engulfing the entire world in geopolitical concerns, macro concerns, tariffs, and the whole thing feels a little bit shaky. After many, many years of bull market, people have jitters. What is happening? Which is not out here, especially getting into earnings review, which is by itself now, there is no business reason I can give you why Palantir is down 9%. We haven't had any canceled contracts, meaningful management departures. Nothing from a business perspective happened that would justify a drop like this. In fact, we actually had new deals announced.
Your powers are mine!
3 months. Amazing deals, but nothing happened. Let me just calm you down. It's fine. Now, moments like this, they naturally spark fear. And I understand. I totally get it. Right? This is exactly when you have knowledge and systems and discipline to protect you against this fear. The fear is normal. And nothing you will ever learn in my videos or my academy is going to eliminate this fear, because this fear is kind of programmed into your brain. It's hardwired. You can't avoid fear. That's a survival instinct, right? I can't help you with that, but I can help you to deal with this fear better. And the way you deal with fear better is through knowledge, is through conviction, is through understanding what you're doing, understanding you have a system, and that basically eliminating the impact of the fear, not the fear itself. You know what they say, there's nothing to fear but the fear itself. Now, I have a full guide on how to do this, a full guide on a bulletproof DCA double down system that teaches you how to avoid the fear, how to minimize its impact. All of this is available in my DCA guide. Go get it right now. It's free. In the description below, click the first link. You can get it right now. No strings attached. Go get it right now. Now, if you look back at history, this is not our first rodeo. In fact, if you only look back all the way to February of 2025, you're going to find that Palantir dropped from $125 all the way to $70.
Get ready.
It dropped like 50% in a matter of a couple of weeks. 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And while this whole thing was going on and the sentiment was in the toilet and everybody was panicking, me and my students in my academy, we used that moment in February actively to accumulate as many shares as we could. Because when the stock you love and you are confident about and you have high conviction in, when that stock drops 50% all of a sudden in a couple of weeks, you buy the hell out of it, which is exactly what we've done, which is exactly why that cash we bought in February 2025, a year ago, is up 100% now, even after this latest drop, which is exactly what we've done in 2024, in 2023, in 2022. Nothing has ever changed because the system is pretty much the same. It didn't change for the past 100 years. A few videos ago, I told you about the famous columnist, John Kane, where he had this story of a pig farmer who basically thought of the stock market as pig farming, and whenever the pig got fat, whenever he got lean, he would buy it. Same thing he did with the stock market. Whenever the headlines were screaming that the world is over, he would buy like crazy. And whenever the headlines would say, well, this is never going to end, the party's going to last forever, he would sell his stock, and that's how he never had a bad year in like 40 years, right? Now, this is how you make money in the stock market. It's pretty simple. It's not complicated to learn the system. It's pretty straightforward. The problem is psychology. It's emotions, okay? So what do smart investors do in moments like the one we're experiencing right now with Palantir? So number one, in moments like this, smart investors focus on fundamentals. Okay, do we have any new deals? Yes, we have 2 new deals this week. Okay, do we have any meaningful problems? Do we have any alerts? Did anybody resign? Do we have scandals, lawsuits, etc., etc.? Look at the fundamentals. Number 2, increase their dollar cost average, or basically they're buying in lump sum, buy a big chunk. It's a personal decision. I'm not telling you what to do, but whether you're DCAing or you're using the lump sum buying, when moments like this happen, smart investors use them to increase whatever it is they're doing, whether it's DCA or lump sum buying. They essentially revisit the strategy. If the stock is still good and the price is cheaper, you definitely want more of it, right? At the end of the day, all what you guys do is irrespective of the price fluctuation, do you think that Palantir is still a multi-year compounder? If the answer is yes, then this good allows you to buy more at a cheaper price, and you should. And if the answer for you is no, then you should be buying Palantir to begin with. It has nothing to do with the price. Now, earnings approaching upon us very, very shortly, and these earnings, they bring out a lot of uncertainty. They bring out a lot of volatility. Of course, as we get closer and closer to earnings, the noise is going to increase. The volatility is going to increase. Now, from my experience, buying and selling around earnings of any company is a bad idea. It hits treacherous waters. I'm not going anywhere near that. That is why dead people outperform the living in every single study that we've done. Any single brokerage that ever published in this study, right? Dead people don't do anything crazy. They just stay in the market. They beat people who, pick the worst time to make the most horrible mistakes. And drops like this feel a lot worse than they really are. That's the reality. A lot of the time, it's kind of like optimism, and it takes a little bit of experience. It's gonna work your way through a few of these to figure out what these are not. Kind of the mirrors make you seem thinner or flatter or wider or smaller. It's an illusion, but once you've seen one or two, you basically know the drill. It's the same thing here. If this is your first time, it's scary. I get it. Especially the speed, right? If the stock has this slow decline over 6 months, it's not scary. It's pretty boring, right? But when you're coming down the elevator, it's scary. You know what they say? The market always to do that, but Palantir is a more volatile stock than most. In fact, it probably is one of the most volatile big cap stocks you can hold on to. But you saw the drop, a 9% drop in Palantir is nothing. It's a Tuesday. And we've seen 50% drop in 3 weeks in February 2025. Now, what investors do, especially inexperienced investors, when we have a big price drop, the assumption in their head is, okay, there must be new information, there must be new facts that are driving this price drop. There must be, otherwise why would the price drop? And sorry to burst your bubble, but it's not necessarily the case. Anytime the price drops, we don't have news, we don't have important things that you need to know about. In fact, 99% of the time, it's just short-term volatility being short-term volatility. And you have to understand that the people who drive daily price action are not long-term investors. The people who drive the everyday price movements of any stock are traders. Are people who are basically riding waves, riding trends. Whenever they think that the trend might be coming, they're jumping off the track, and all of them do it at once. And that's why it feels so volatile, especially in the age of algorithmic trading, where a lot of these bots imitate human behavior and they all do it like a school of fish. And it's mainly psychological, it's amplified, it's overreactive, and yes, the market has become more overreactive because of algorithmic trading, but it's a lot less severe than it feels in real time. It feels like you're being inside a spin cycle inside of a washing machine, but it's just it's a tempest in the teapot. Okay, but you have to understand who are the people who are selling right now. And there's a lot of people selling right now, otherwise the price would drop, right? But it's not the long-term holders. It's basically two groups of people. And these are the only groups who are selling right now. Number one are the traders, which I talked about earlier, and that's fine. That's what they're supposed to do. They make 10% here, they make 20% here, they jump to the next stock, etc., etc. And number two, this is the inexperienced retail investors, or as I put it, investors with a weaker conviction about a stock. They are not confident about Palantir, so they're selling just to make sure. Now, I just want to give you an example that he said, look, if you got a farm and your crazy neighbor keeps shouting prices at which he's willing to buy your farm every single day, is him shouting a price that's 30% lower than what he shouted yesterday
Have you
freaks
made
you
your
out?
decision
No.
yet, neighbor?
You basically say, no, I'm not interested
you
in selling.
stand
Thank you. It doesn't
quicker?
impact what you feel about your farm. The same thing should be about a stock. There's nothing really different, right? As a long-term investor, this is how you have to think about it. Now,
No matter where you
nothing
dwell,
changed for
would you
Palantir's
deny
business. Let me
your
just
own
repeat it.
people?
Nothing changed for Palantir business.
The battle
There's the
starts
false
in
assumption
5,
that it may have
4,
or should have because
3,
the price dropped,
2,
but price in
1.
the short term isn't really about value. It's about market sentiment. And whenever we have earnings coming up, stocks sometimes do that. They lose price. It's normal. Nothing even unusual. The mood shift is a lot quicker than fundamentals. Right? Now, earning weeks are a little bit more bipolar than usual. The market in itself is a little bit bipolar by definition, but earning weeks, they become a lot crazier, a lot more volatile. And what good investors really do in these times is they get comfortable with uncertainty. Right? If this is your first time on a tuna fishing boat and it's rocking crazy in the middle of the night, you want to vomit. It's not comfortable. It's very discomforting. It is the worst feeling in the world, right? But if you're a tuna fisherman, this is your 15th ride or 2,500 rides into it, you're basically just saying, hey, I'm really comfortable. I don't know what the problem is. It's just normal, par for the course. If you understand that mindset where you just have to get used to feeling uncomfortable and used to feeling uncertain, you're going to make a lot of money in the stock market, whether it's Palantir or Tesla or Nvidia or any other stock, right? Now, earnings are important. I'm not saying that you should ignore earnings, but they're not the focus the week ahead of it, right? Sure, we're going to look at growth, we're going to look at demand, we're going to look at margin, we're going to look at guidance growth, we're going to look at consistency of all of this will be examined when the earnings come out. What's the point? Maximum earnings, fears of something that may or may not happen ahead of time. What inexperienced investors do in time like this, they shrink their time horizon. When I talk to these folks, when the stock is up 300% in the past 6 months, their horizon is 20 years. It really does that. And the best way to kill a good long-term strategy is by being reactive, by trading in and out, trying to buy, trying to guessing top and bottom. It's the worst thing you can do. If you look at Palantir on Stock GP, the Palantir scores are some of the best we have on the platform. Profitability is 85 out of 100. Growth is 91 out of 100. Solvency is 35 out of 100. Overall, it scores 81 out of 100. Net income is up 43.5% for the past 12 months. And the current margin, net margin, is 16.3%, which is extremely high for any company. Net margin. Right? Now, you may argue about P ratio being too high. Oh my God, look at the P ratio. Palantir is horrible, blah, 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 blah. Look, I'm just going to defer to my good friend Peter Lynch, who said, never a bad time to buy a great company. And Palantir has showed it again and again without the years. It has never had a cheap PE, but it held it for the past 2 years. It has 2400%. There is no bad time to buy a great company. Now, great investors understand that sometimes the best absolute strategy is to do nothing. And this might be one of those times. Inexperienced investors, they grasp for this illusion of control. It feels uncertain. It feels like they're losing control. They need to do something so they can feel they're in control of the situation, but it's an illusion. It's not real.
So easily.
At some point, you have to learn that process is more important than these short-term outcomes. Even if you've done the right thing, but short-term you don't look good, that's fine. So it's all about the process. Trust the process.
I feel like
Boring, scary, yes. Discomforting, yes, extremely. But always works out in the long term. Always the reason to solve. The media is going to hype it up. Maximum pulse! It's going to scare the living bejeebies out of you when it's coming down. There's always going to be a reason to sell the stock. All you people in the comments and social media play with this time it's different. No, it's not. It's not. Same shit we're seeing across 100 years. Nothing has changed. Okay? Now, if you look right now in my Academy chat, you're going to see calm, clear, intentional people having a conversation about Palantir, talking fundamentals, having discussions. Nobody's panicking because it's not about being smart. It's not about intelligence. I us in the academy, all 28,000 members of us. We're not smarter than the average investor, but we do have a system and a discipline. When you combine system and discipline, you get long-term profitability, which is exactly what we do in the academy. Slow. None of this happens fast. You're going to go to the gym, and you're going to go from 35% body fat to 20% body fat. And you say, well, I want to do this in a month. It's not going to happen. You know, 6 to 12 months minimum to do this. If you want to get rich in the stock market, if you want to create generational wealth, you have to accept the fact that it's a slow process. It's very easy to get rich slow. It is extremely hard, next to impossible, to get rich quick. And if all you want to do is feel comfortable, eat Doritos, watch Netflix, number one, you're never going to be 10% body fat, but number two, you're never going to make money in the stock market because you can't make money in the stock market by feeling comfortable. Discomfort and uncertainty is how money is made long term, which is exactly what I teach in my class. All of that, all math, 28,000 members. My students know the difference between noise and people and sentiment. My students don't get razzle-dazzle or discomforted or freaked out of position. We do this the right way. That's why the system works. Why do you join us? Try it out, see for yourself. We'd love to have you there. Thank you so much. I'll see you.
The moon haunts you! Extermination! Maximum pulse! Your attacks are futile. Denizens of the deep. Don't mind me. I shall not be removed so easily.
SpaceX and XAI, maybe Tesla. You run at the same circles.
Hawkeye's down. Chips on the boomerang arrow. You're welcome.
She's working really hard on it. He's getting there a lot. And the results are looking really good. So I'm very bullish on it. I think we'll keep
NVIDIA saying we'll make this investment, just turn around and take that money that we gave you and buy our chips.
You
stop in the OpenAI giving you the cost.
Ah, here they are now. Extermination!
Only 60 seconds left.
So these things need a lot of cash. Listen, you talk to the leaders, a lot of them especially the ones who are not Elon, have been surprised by how deep the private market is. There is a lot of money available in the private markets.
I'll patch you up.
That said, the public markets are a lot deeper, so it makes sense they're going to have to access them. And, you know, I think OpenAI
Stop them in their tracks! Down to 30 seconds!
companies are doing a lot of deep off with a lot of tech. OpenAI has a lot of consumers.
Stay strong. I can't keep this up forever.
Us against the world! Fear Magneto!
Final 10 seconds!
Hey, Jack! Someone clip this!
Maximum
Fighting and choosing the winner!
You shall not be harmed!
This should protect me.
Juggernaut in the history.
Another epic victory! Big win!
That you could envision as being a good business move.
Synergies between X and XAI. There could be other synergies there, Liz, but you know, in general, when I'm building companies, it's really helpful to have a core team that has a really serious focus and they have an upside and against that focus. So I'd be surprised if they all come together. I think Boring Company, for example, is doing amazing work. You know, you can go to Vegas right now and wander around from the airport to some of the very best hotels. They have
Pick your
millions of
hero
people on it.
or
They're big in
villain.
other
I'm not
states.
judging.
Get going here in Texas. I think we will soon, hopefully. But I think that makes sense.
Be
for that
wary.
management team, for example,
No
to be separate and work on that
timeline
for a while.
exists
Would be
where
my advice.
Magneto
So I can't speak for what Elon
yields.
would do. But in general, I think some of them being separate and building giant companies separately is oftentimes the best way to go.
You have your irons in many fires. Specifically, healthcare is a really big passion. Been so much news lately on where President Trump wants to see healthcare, health insurance, technology. He's incredibly supportive of big advancements in AI. Haven't seen too much on that.
For so long, I fought for mutant kind's future. Our time has finally arrived.
Absolutely critical. I'm a big fan.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready!
People around him, and I think they're aligned. You know, the big challenge for our civilization right now, you're seeing crazy wealth taxes in California. You're seeing a lot of populism on both sides. And
Just wondering if all the users
go down this. And we have $50 to $100 trillion of debt in healthcare, depending how you measure these promises, maybe even higher.
So
we have to get these costs down. And it's actually the case. We can get the costs down.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Right now, it's easy.
All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
Hydra, the only evil organization who slowly begs you to cut their arms
AI sandboxes. We have to let us innovate healthcare to save our civilization and make this stuff functional. So that's something I'm working hard on.
Joe, good to see you. Thank you very much for coming on.
Much better.
Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now.
You shall not be harmed.
Whistleblowers, and these whistleblowers are
Capture the
Minnesota
mission
state
area.
employees, almost all of whom are
I would knit the dimensions back together if it were within my power.
inform the American people today what's going on, and also talk about what the Trump administration is doing as we speak on the ground to hold people accountable.
I am strengthened for battle.
Just who Gambit was looking for. Hey, Jack! Someone clip this!
am strengthened for battle. Undo the entanglement. Perhaps that will enemy in front of us. By the eye of Agamotto! I purge the darkness. With the amazing Spider-Man! A timely intervention.
We'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
I have unfinished business here.
You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
What's already happened. There have been many arrests, and I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. And hopefully, after today's committee hearing, there'll be many more arrests.
When science failed me, magic was open your eyes.
I am not the man I used to be. I have found a greater cause.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
And you know, Tim Lawson's going to have to answer some questions because according to the whistleblower, they've been wanting
I'm happy to see you do, you adorable little ball of murder.
Daddy missed you about this fraud for years, and they turned him
Don't worry, you earned your place as the #1 breakout star. I won't steal it from you, but I may shoot open border.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
Building the Democrat Party. They've lost the working men and women of America. They've lost the people in America with common sense. So all they have left are all these immigrants.
Our enemies show themselves.
Hey, it's real hot.
The mission area is yours to capture now.
whistleblowers to come forward. in
I shall
California,
not be
in
removed
Ohio,
so
in
easily.
Maine, in Illinois, and these other states where we think this Somali fraud is taking place as we speak.
So how did this happen? They just sent money to these Somali-run daycare centers?
You've captured more than half of the mission area. Keep going.
They understood that there were no kids there.
Much better. You need not fear. You cannot hurt me. Magneto! You need not fear.
With the state of Minnesota.
Glory is almost yours.
Oh, we're watching your investigation.
Thank you.
Taking charge.
Let's keep fighting until we have winner.
Assemble! Hope I make a cut!
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man! Merci.
Thank you.
Senior fellow Gordon Chang. Gordon, great to see you. You know, this is a story that you and I have touched on over the years, but I'm wondering what you think about this now. Because
Another epic victory. Big win.
Is that his decision or the Politburo's decision? What are your thoughts on this story?
I think that General Zhang Yashao, who was the #1 uniformed officer, first vice chairman of the Communist Party Central Military Commission, was Xi Jinping's adversary in the military. And I think Zhang was actually taking out Xi Jinping's loyalists in the military, which he did last year. What we do know, and there's a lot we don't, but what we do know is that the Communist Party right now is in turmoil, and the military is not that ready because the senior leadership has been annihilated, as someone said. I don't actually think that Zhang Yashao passed nuclear weapons secrets to the U.S., but I think that clearly right now we are in a state of turmoil in China, and anything can happen.
Oh, so you think that was made up, that they said that he passed secrets to the United States, but that was just a way to take him down?
That's my guess, because when you think about it, Zhang really didn't have that many